never heard that, but that's the origin of cap. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look.
There's a principle that
Right.
we have to follow.
Yeah.
We have to have.
Be true to yourself. You don't have.
And when I came back, the place was a mess. So I knew I was missed.
Deep in here now.
It's incredible.
I love it. Me
That's
too.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And applying the recovery, I thought.
Right.
Yeah, then we could do it.
Get away with good evening. Well, good afternoon. They taught me when I was at boot camp that evening is after you eat dinner. So I haven't ate dinner yet, so it's good afternoon. VA.
Or the Richmond area.
Richmond,
or
Virginia.
South Tennessee. We're in there too.
Where else?
Hi, Valerie.
There was somebody from. Where was she? Was from? She was,
Oh yeah, we got Kansas City. We
Yeah,
had New
yeah.
York.
yeah.
Mhm.
So good afternoon, everybody out there. Welcome to the McShin Foundation's Get in the Herd podcast. We are going to do a little rant here. We're going to go on a little rant here, but before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors. First, I want to shout out the Farley Center. The Farley Center is a treatment center located in the Williamsburg, Virginia area. They take commercial insurances and they'll help anybody. So if you don't have insurance, still give them a call. They will help. Give a call to Kelly Eason at 804-638-7329. Again, that's the Farley Center. Give them a call. Let them know the McShin Foundation sent you. And
They got good writing pens too. Like that, like we have the McShin pen.
how do you know?
I clipped one off somebody the other day. I mean, borrowed. I borrowed one off somebody. Like theirs is way more fancier. They're not. They're plastic, but they're clear plastic, and they got this good flow. All right, continue.
How many of you took that from my house?
Could be.
All right, so Farley Center, thank you again, Farley Center. Thank you for the sponsorship, and give them a call. Kelly Eason, 804-638-7329. And then we'd like to give the Rooted Hair Studio. Rooted Hair Studio is located in Colonial Heights, Virginia. Give them a call, 804-919-3851. If you mention McShin, code McShin, you get 10% off. So listen, everybody out there, I'm telling you, anybody that's tuning in, if you're trying to get your hair did, trying to get some highlights, trying to get a haircut, trying to get your kid a haircut,
Trying to erase those grades.
and you want to save a little bit of money,
those years of misery.
10% off.
10% off.
Code McShin, code McShin. Go check out Rooted Hair Studio located in Colonial Heights, Virginia.
They're rooted in Colonial Heights.
Yes, they are. 804-919-3851. I think I might take Cadence out there and mention McShin so I can get 10%. She wants some highlights. 10% off. Highlights
Frosted
are expensive.
tips.
So 10% off. Mention code McShin, please. 804-919-3851. And then Seed Institute. Give them a call. Michael Edwards, 804-939-0541. They specialize in helping people start up businesses, and they do trainings. So if you're looking for a training specifically for your organization or for yourself or a group of people, give them a call, 804-939-0541. Mention code McShin, you get 10% off. Thank you again to our sponsors.
That last one made me think of that Sublime song too. See, just out of the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that ever happen to you?
Often.
Steve,
Yeah.
are you agreeing with him? Like you really know what he's talking about right now?
Sublime, yeah.
No. I know Sublime, but what is he talking about? The last one.
That the last commercial you did, Seed Institute.
I wanted Steve then because Steve, I was lost, but you knew he was talking about the Seed Institute.
Jesse listened to Green Day.
That's true.
The real punk rock.
Billy Joel
Actually,
also.
no. Actually, what happened is when I met Travis, I didn't listen to anything like that.
Oh, hold on.
This is what I did.
Talk about lying.
Listen, I'm not lying. Listen, me.
What song? What song did you used to play on the guitar? And because that
that's-
came way before you knew me.
No, it's not. I didn't
Definitely.
even know what a
Who sings that
guitar
song?
was. Man.
Who sings the song More Than Words?
Oh,
God, man, this is killing me
Is that
right
Tesla?
no,
So-
I-
he tried to change. He tried to change me in holy jeans and cigarettes and all that stuff. He really corrupted me. Is what he did, y'all. I was an athlete and played football, and
You know what
Met
Jesse
him,
told me
so.
he sings before he gets dressed to go out? That
Now
song
you about
Wild
to tell a lie.
Horses.
No,
oh my God, Rolling Stone.
No. Goodbye Horses.
Okay.
From Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
Goodbye horses.
okay.
I'm crying over you. And he does the
Are you
whole
done?
thing. Would you? Yeah.
Are you done?
I'm
Are you
done.
done? this is how, because this is so. We literally had a conversation about this, and he said he flipped it. Y'all, he flipped it. This is what he does.
You know what I just thought about too? Remember when we had that training? Whenever like we found out whether those ladies from the CDC or whatever they were, the
Yeah,
ladies,
They weren't from the city, but I know you're talking.
and
about
they taught us
They're
how
from the health
washing
department.
hands does absolutely nothing.
That's
like,
not what they
you
taught
shouldn't
us.
do
though.
it.
That's
like,
not true at all.
no matter
Stop.
if you use the if you do this
Anybody
and
out
you do
there
this
listening
and you
is
put a black
lying.
light under your hand, I guarantee you they're still filthy. So
But the point of that story was what that training was. What they were trying to tell you is you got to wash your hands better. That was what they were trying to tell you.
because
So
they were
most
pretty
people,
thorough.
most
Yeah.
people go in there and they just wash their hands and they don't do it the correct way. So your hands still are dirty. That was what the point of that was. So it definitely wasn't saying don't wash your hands.
Now with that
I tell
train
you
of
what.
thought, hold on. With that train of thought, now with
Anybody-
that train of thought,
Let me
this is
just
Travis
let me-
rant.
hold on. Anybody out there? I just want anybody out there. If
Don't
you're
wash your
friends,
hands.
if you're friends with Travis and
Dap me up.
and you talk to him, yeah. Just remember when you shake his hand or you give him a hug, he does not wash his hands.
And you know what that means? I'm going to be doing you a favor because by spreading those germs, it boosts your immune system.
I hope
And that's why a lot of people are sickly because they didn't like share drinks when they were young or drop their annihilators. And hey, did you ever do that thing where you eat like annihilator and drink a
A what?
Coca-Cola at the,
What
like
do
a
you call it?
now or later? It was like the candy,
I know
the
what
thick
it is,
candy.
but
But
that's not what you said.
I got that swag. I said annihilator. I gotta do it like the Outcast would say it, annihilator. So like you would drink the Coke, you had a annihilator in your, and then you would let like a string of
No.
and like you would see if you could get it to touch the ground.
That's like some Beavis and Butthead.
Then you'd have to
stuff,
slurp it
man.
back up. I never did it. I'm
that
just
was-
I've seen people that were proficient in this.
That was his like idols.
It was
growing
kind of
up.
like that thing where
Beavis
you can
and
make that
Butthead.
spit go from under your tongue. I think they
Yeah,
called it
yeah.
gleeking.
Yes.
A gleek.
That was huge in my middle school.
Don't gleek in my eye. You know what I mean? Or yeah.
Huge. Unsanitary.
Okay, are you gonna go on
Huge.
are you, what we got going on? So today, everybody, Travis said he had something on his spirit that he wanted to talk about. So and I hope it's not
Absolutely
I hope it's not drool.
didn't
with
say that,
annihilator.
bro.
So what are we gonna talk about here, Travis?
Can you repeat what that dude from New York said to you? That sounded very profound yesterday.
So are you talking about?
Yeah. When he
yeah,
told,
yeah.
yeah.
So
go.
when I was in when I had hit my last bottom, because I hit many bottoms, and this last time I hit my bottom, and I reached out and went to the healing place, which is located in Richmond, Virginia. Love that place, great place. They saved my life. I went to the healing place and threw my hands up and was like, hey, like I need some help, man. And I ended up meeting a guy in there by the name of Glenn. He's passed away from cancer. A real close friend, became a real close friend, right? But what he told me, because I was in there and I was breaking some rules, and he was like, man, Jesse, he's like, you are full flight from reality. Full flight from reality. And I thought it was one of the most profound things that was ever said to me. Came to find out when I opened up a book and started reading this book, which is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It was right in there, right? So he got it out of there. So a lot of the stuff that people give you in this recovery world is usually stuff that's regurgitated or taken from our literature. But he told me, he's like, you're full flight from reality.
Man, that's so crazy. Now my spirit is flowing, bro. Because like if you're in full flight of reality, that means you're living in fantasy, a fantasy world where you're always the hero. You're always this, like everything's about you. I guess that would go to the core of our spiritual disease, self-centeredness.
Right.
But what I'm thinking is like you're running a long con on you. I was reading the literature myself the other day, and like this jumped out at me, man. We are great manipulators of the truth. Great manipulators of the truth. Who are we lying to? Much now, I try to work on honesty. I do try to do that, and so me and Jesse put it this way earlier. Like we practicing honesty. So like if you've been pretty much in con mode all your life, like honesty is not going to come easy at first because it's part of your survivor tactic. Your it's your way of life. Really, to automatically your reaction to a direct question, your first thing is a lie. That's something you really have to practice.
That takes a long time.
That takes a long. How long did that take you? Did you have that problem, Jesse, or did you just go in being like, hey, because it says we were not brimming with open-mindedness, honesty, and willingness.
Oh, definitely. I definitely struggled with that. And that's what my dear friend Glenn was talking about. He's like, man, like you just said, the long con, right? Because like I thought I was like working this freaking immaculate program of recovery, because I was doing everything in my head. I was doing everything the right way, but I still was breaking rules, right? I was still giving half truths. I need the cell phone, even though I'm not supposed to have it. I need it because I got to check on my kids. I'm going to meetings, but I might miss one and forge the meeting sheet, like different stuff, man. It was, and all I was doing was conning myself, right? It was, being dishonest. And so that was that full flight from reality, man. Like I really wasn't in reality, because like you said, man, it was a con on myself. It was fantasy world on myself. Now what you're talking about, like the first reaction that we have, is usually to lie, and that's because that instinct, that survival instinct, was inbred. Like it just became a part of us because of everything we had to do to get the next one, right? And to survive, and not even sometimes to get the next one.
Yeah,
Like
just-
when it for I know for me and you, and not everybody got to this point, but for me and you, it was like survival mode. And like, that's what we freaking, we were living on the streets, couch to couch, family, anybody that loved us was like done with us. We couldn't be
girl to
there,
girl, friend
yeah,
to friend,
whatever it was. So it was
you
like
had to tell them whatever
to get what you wanted.
You had to
right?
read them,
yeah,
and
that's
tell 'em.
yeah, it necessarily wasn't drugs. Ultimately the end game was always getting the next one. But sometimes we were doing it to get some food, to get a roof, a bed to sleep on, whatever it was, and so that became a part of me. So yeah, it took a good while, man. Sometimes still to this day, man.
Yeah, because that's interesting. Because now you are definitely, and I feel like I'm at a point where I don't have to do that anymore.
Oh, but you still do it.
I still do it.
He just did it. Just did it early. Man. Look, he just did it. Remember we were talking about what we're wearing, right? I'm like, man, I got a McShin shirt on, and he's like, I got one on too underneath this.
Well, it's because
it was like,
now let me explain this, because I don't feel like it was a lie, and this isn't justification either. Because you press and embed in us so deeply that we are a team, I feel like, if we're just such this team, then I am McShin, and any shirt I wear is a McShin shirt.
Steve, don't you dare. Steve, don't you do that. Steve don't got a McShin shirt on.
That being said, I love your McShin shirt. I love your McShin shirt, Steve, and your McShin hoodie, and your McShin glasses.
Grant, what are you wearing over there?
He's McShin from head to toe. Cheese sandwich and all. His cheese sandwich is McShin.
He's got a polo from what is it, JC Crew?
J. Crew.
J. Crew.
J. Crew.
And you got a Nike sweatsuit with a dirty shirt underneath it.
It's got a stain.
Yeah. Dirty shirt. Stain.
It's a McShin
dirty.
stain.
I was getting ready to say that.
It's a McStain.
Yeah. Well, the moral of this, anybody listening or anybody that comes across this is he lied. His first thought was, I'm gonna lie. Yeah, I got a McShin shirt underneath this, and it was a lie, right? And that's
even a funny lie is a lie, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's you all the way. Like you justify your lies with, I'm just making people laugh, right? But it's your defense. It's your defense
here we
mechanism.
go. Is this the fantasy world that I'm living in?
Yes, it is. I 100%, man. You're full flight from reality, man.
Full flight?
Yeah, full flight. And I just
sometimes I feel like I
wanna...
peek through to reality. This is where recovery gets so tricky, because you start revealing stuff like you don't have the desire to use anymore, but you find out that the insanity is, definition, please. Not the regular one, yours.
The inability to see the truth about ourselves.
About ourselves.
Yeah, that's tough. Somebody was talking to me.
God, that's
today.
so profound, bro.
Yeah. That's why. But see, that's why we need each other. That's why I need Steve. That's why I need Grant. That's why I need you, right? Because I can't see me. Now I don't ever want to get to the point where I don't think I need somebody to help. Like, call me on my stuff, help me. And it sometimes it gets a little tricky, like you said, especially when you've been in recovery a while, because I don't know how to say this without
just say
sounding,
it.
Like sometimes, like
without sounding uppity.
Yeah, or without sounding
pretentious.
Like egotistical. No, more egotistical.
Kick the ego. Egos are in full flight.
Well, it's easier. It's
from
easier.
Reality.
It's easier for us to like call somebody out
on their stuff.
Well, especially if they're newer, right?
Newcomers.
But, yeah, or just newer to recovery. Period. Right now, when you've been here a while, right, and you build relationships, and you see somebody that you looked up to, or somebody that that has guided you through this process, it becomes a little difficult when you see them doing something wrong and calling them on their stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because they still suffer from the insanity too. They
Same
suffer
disease.
they suffer from the inability to see the truth about themselves as well. So sometimes you have to do that, and that becomes difficult. I remember for me, right, what was difficult, here, right? So Moses, right? Some people
Mhm.
out here, our staff know Moses, man. I
Very
love
wise.
Moses, right, man?
Mhm.
30 something years in recovery, right? And I was, put in a position where I had to, like, you know, call him on something, like, help him see the truth about, and it was nothing bad, it's just, work related stuff, but like that's tough because you have so much respect for somebody, you know.
Would you say that if you're not being called on stuff like regularly, now I'm like used to it and I like it because usually growth does come out of it. If I can, it takes a long time. This stuff isn't an overnight thing. But when it gets pointed out to it, then I'm aware I can work on it. So, like, if you're not surrounded by those people, you might be working some fake work. All right, here we go.
Yeah,
We are great manipulators of the truth, great manipulators of the truth. And like, I'll tell you, like, this is how I was manipulating myself. And I know I was running this con on me because I was saying to myself, like, I'm here, I'm working in recovery, I go to meetings, I have a sponsor, I have the book that I'm not reading, you know what I mean? Or I read it uninstructionally without taking the suggestions from my sponsor and without backing it up. And the whole time I'm running a long con on myself saying I'm knee deep in recovery. Now I'm not using, and so I am definitely in recovery, and I definitely wasn't.
Well, you got to explain that to me though, because everything you just described was being in recovery. So why weren't you in recovery though?
Because I wasn't working it right. I was just saying the things. I go to meetings, which I do, you know what I mean? But I had the sponsor, but I wasn't using them. And I wasn't reading the book. Now, like, cause like now, like, I guess that is a form of recovery.
Yeah, because Trav, we there's no perfect way to do this thing, right? There's no perfect recovering addict, right? So you were doing some things, right? And what was revealed to you wasn't that you weren't in recovery. What was revealed to you was that you still have defects of character, right? They never go away, right? You're never going to be perfect. So you started to learn some stuff you wanted to work on. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're not in recovery.
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying I think that's why they say, keep coming back until you do. What I'm saying is I wasn't working those steps.
Yeah.
And I wasn't taking a look at them. I was just saying I had a sponsor. Oh, he's a good one too. But I wasn't utilizing them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was, like the meetings, like.
And so you found out that,
I just found a different form, a deeper form of recovery.
Deep down, you were like, man, I'm half stepping this thing, and I
All
don't
the
want to half
way.
step, and I don't want to half step this thing, right? And that's good, man, because half step avails us nothing, right? When you go about this with half measures, then you're bound to pick back up, right? You want to chase this thing like you chased the next one, right? And that's what I've learned in recovery. Now I will say this though, something that I learned is if you put forth just half, because
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
just put forth
just
half
a little bit
the
of work.
effort, half the zeal you did going after the next one, you on the right path, right? So that's why, like, when you were saying that, like, you're in recovery right now. What you do while you're in here is what matters, right?
Yeah.
And some people will be up in here like what you're talking about, and they won't become aware of what you're talking about, and they'll continue to do that stuff. Now they won't use. Here's what happens, right, Steve and Trav? They don't use, but they start doing these grimy behaviors.
Yeah.
And it's like you see them, and like sometimes I get mad, right? Because it puts a bad like taste on people in recovery, right? Because you'll see people that are still like cheating on their husbands.
Oh, they talk good too.
Yeah,
they got that good talk.
Yeah,
they got real good talk.
Or stealing from their job, or just doing stuff that's just like it's just immoral, right? And it's stuff that we did when we were using. Now they're clean and they're doing it, and they're like, well, I'm clean. I haven't used, so that's all that matters. And dang it, man, I get it. Right. But I don't want to be like that. Right. And I think that's what was happening with you. You're like, man, I'm clean. I'm not using. Right. But then you started realizing, man, I'm still doing some stuff that I shouldn't be doing.
I wouldn't say they were grimy things.
Well,
Although
I mean,
always,
just lying. I mean, you were
yeah,
lying.
lying is lying.
You're being dishonest. You were lying. You were half stepping.
But there was like, yeah, there was a form. Yeah, there's a, yeah, man. And there is a form like that honesty piece can just be like stripped the layers, like keep going, like it gets deeper. And I'm not saying like, I'm just saying I'm scratching the surface with it, but I am aware of it and I am working on it now. Like, so, fundamentally, like what you're saying is like, if you're not using and you're still doing the grimy stuff, then you're just clean. So what I'm asking is there's a difference between being clean and recovery, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Being in recovery, being in recovery doesn't equal, I mean, being clean doesn't equal being in recovery, right? And for real, being clean is a stigmatizing word anyways, right?
Yeah. Are you
uh,
trying to, is there something like trying to change the verbiage on that too?
Well,
like,
I mean,
we went out again. We're black again. We're black again,
yeah,
Steve. Come on back.
It's all right. It's just recording.
They can still hear us.
Yeah, so we're just gonna keep talking.
Yeah, keep talking. Go ahead. Where were we at? Go ahead. Being clean and being sober.
Well, I'm saying
recovery.
Clean is a stigmatizing word to people that know nothing about addiction, substance use. It makes them feel like, makes them see us as something that's dirty, right? And because we suffer from an illness like this doesn't mean we're dirty. It's a legit illness, right? It's
define dirty, just
it's in the
like
DSM-5. I mean,
well, society or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you hear that and you know nothing about this illness, that's what you think, right? Clean, dirty, right? So if it implies that if you're not clean, then you're dirty, right? And that's not true because people can use, and it's just it's a reoccurrence of this illness, right? And in DSM-5, the DSM-5, which is the medical book that doctors and psychiatrists or whatever they put out there, and it has like all the illnesses, it's in there. It's an illness in there. It's a legit illness. So we suffer from an illness. So that's what now it's words that we use because it's familiar with us in the realms of the pathway that we practice, right? Those are the words and the verbiage we use. But we're talking about being in recovery and not being in recovery, right? So like when we talk about being in recovery, being in recovery is an act of like change,
of behavior.
Yeah, like
and self-awareness.
It's a healthy change, and there's many definitions. If we asked everybody sitting in this room to define recovery, there'd be different definitions.
Yeah, right? I shouldn't have said sober. Sorry about that. I should have, or clean. I should have said not using and recovery. There's a difference there. I mean, they both go like, ultimately they will go hand in hand. But I mean, there is just not using and doing no work, and then recovering.
Yeah. I mean, some out there would say that you could, and this is a stretch, but there's probably people out there in the world that say they could be using and be in recovery.
You just blew my mind.
I've heard that.
Are we in the Twilight Zone right now?
We are.
Jesse got deep right there, bro. I like it, bro.
Well, I don't know.
Confucianism is coming out. Like
yeah, well, I don't know.
Flip the game on me.
I don't know if it's something I necessarily agree with, but I know that there's people out there that would say that, right? And and I think what my end game, what my goal is something that I was talking about yesterday, is that I want to, in that group, what I was talking about, I think it was in that group, or no, it was in my meeting that I was at last night, is that, I want to continue to grow. That's what I want to do here in recovery.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not using drugs. I'm not using drugs or alcohol. And I, for me, it's complete abstinence. That's what I practice. And that, I don't know, no knock to anybody else, but that's what I practice. Now, on top of that, I want to continue to grow. Like, I want to be a better employee. I want to be a better coworker. I want to be a better manager. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better friend, a better brother, I want to continue to grow, right? There's no end game for me. And that's something that Walt taught me. Like, me and Walt have always been on that, like, hey, let's just continue. No matter what happens, throughout this world with us, we're going to continue to help each other grow.
I agree with that because, I mean, if you're not growing, then you're stagnant or going backwards.
Yeah.
So Jesse's saying like he wants the total dose of reality, no fantasy, to live in now and live in reality.
Yeah,
that's a good ending point.
I don't want to be full flight from reality.
Full flights.
The opposite.
yeah. That was my dude, man. Glenn, I love that dude, man. He was a real cool dude, man. Moved to New York, and ended up passing. He was a meat cutter. Didn't your mom do that? Did your mom? No, that was
Maybe like a meat wrapper or something. Like wrap the meat. I don't think I had any meat cutters in them.
I could have swore that
Definitely couldn't cook the meat.
A long line of meat cutters.
Yeah.
She could make gravy.
I could have swore your mom worked at Food Line and cut.
Probably did.
Cut
I don't
meat.
think cut the meat. I don't think she had graduated that far. It was more wrap the meat.
You know, it's actually like it's
a hard skill.
Cutting meat is actually like a big
Trade,
deal.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
trade.
thinking about just wrapping the meat. I'd be a damn mess, man. There's a cellophane everywhere. I'd be wrapping.
You know, I went and bought some cheese from the deli the other day, and like, let me tell you about this though. So Kelly was getting some cheese too. And
How
she gets,
pretentious is that?
she
Such a
gets
deli
I
buying
know, right?
cheese.
Well, this is how dumb. I never really got
Gouda
cheese.
cheese.
I really got cheese from the deli before, right?
Y'all got squeezed cheese in
Yeah. So Kelly gets in. She gets a pound of what she wants, and I get it. And I'm like, all right.
Pound of cheese.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but that's normal. I didn't know that, so I get it, and I'm like, well, I just want a quarter pound of this and a quarter pound of that. And she was like, you're really gonna waste their time? And I was like, what?
He broke the cheese
Yeah.
down.
And
in
then
the
I was
quarters.
like, I was like, I want it real thin. And so I could tell the lady was getting mad. And she was like, you want paper in between each one?
Did Kelly say you were in full flight from reality?
Yeah, she was cracking up on me. She knew that I never bought cheese from the deli because she was like, you're really gonna waste her time like that? I was like, what? I'm not allowed to do this? What?
She didn't pregame you either. She let you go right in there
Yeah,
head
she
first.
just-
didn't she?
Yeah, she just said, do it. Yeah, I didn't know that, Steve. It's frowned upon to do that. She schooled me.
Well,
That's why she does the grocery shopping.
yeah, and you don't write the list on the board. Full flight
No,
from
actually,
reality.
I do it. And I do it now, man. It's mad. I'm telling you, it's magic, right?
Hold on,
write it-
hold on,
man,
hold
it's-
on. We just talked about. Hold on.
I
You
changed.
started doing this.
I do it because you know what I found out is I write it on the board, and the next day it's in the fridge.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
it's like magic. Strange magic.
Yes, it
Wow.
is.
How does this work? I write this
See,
down and it appears.
I didn't say this last time, right? There was times where I would write it on the board and she wouldn't get it because she was like, I can't find it at this store. And I'm not going to this other store because I used to love these particular apples. I like Golden Delicious apples, right? The little yellow ones.
Mm.
So those are my favorite apples. And I would put it on the board and she never would get it. And so I was
Do you
like,
think this was like a thing? Like
no, she told me, she's like, I can't find it at the store she likes to shop at. And I was like, you know what? Fine then. And her mom was living at her house at one time. And so then her mom would go get the Golden Delicious apples for me.
Nice.
How do you like them
Yeah,
apples?
speak more like your mom.
Delicious.
She told me, she's like, trust me. She's like, I'll never be like my mom, so don't get used to that. Because her mom used to clean the whole house and fold everything. Like I'd open up the closets and everything would be folded in a perfect order.
Mm.
Kind of like that movie with Julia Roberts, where if you didn't have the stuff,
I'm not
I forgot
listen.
the name of it.
We're not going to talk about a Julia. Right? Last time he did this, it was so embarrassing. He was wearing a pink shirt, and like I was well dressed myself, and we were at a Panero Bread. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I was like, man, this is bougie, and we're dressed a little
Yeah.
too nice. And then like some chicks walked by, and we were totally talking about a Jodie Foster movie.
Jodie Foster and Julie Roberts are totally different.
I know, but it's still the same thing. We're talking about chick movies, and we're like, well, we're not dressed like that today. So go ahead.
I mean, we could talk about your girlfriend. We want to talk about your girlfriend.
I don't have a girlfriend.
Oh, you don't have? Oh, I
No,
know
my
she-
girls,
she-
no, my girls never last past the. We were just talking about this, the second phone call. You know, in the text phase, I do really good. I'm really good in the text phase, but once I get to the phone call phase, I always put my,
Grant, you know, have you met his girlfriend? Oh, so what's her name?
I don't have a girlfriend.
You don't know her name, Grant?
No, I don't. He doesn't give me all that information.
He doesn't want to put it out there yet. He's scared. He's scared to put the name out there.
Who says it's a girlfriend?
I hope you don't. You're gonna share this with her on Facebook?
No.
No.
She said it was when she was like talking about what's next. What happens in 3 months?
I totally didn't say that. He just made that up. If anybody's watching.
If anybody's watching.
He got scared.
God.
If you're watching, you're scared him.
We're going to bury this podcast far, far away.
All right, we're getting ready to head. We're getting ready to head out here, man. Thank you. Scroll those sponsors again across the
I
bottom
feel
of
the spirit
screen.
of delete.
Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you anybody that tuned in. If you happen to log on to this. If you come across it on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. That's the most important thing. Subscribe and share this and tell your people to subscribe to. We need our subscribers up, man. We
Thumbs
still,
up button.
You know, I hate to say this, we still haven't hit 1,000 subscribers. On
Jesse, you
YouTube.
should share this to
1,000
everybody on your messenger. I'm
subscribers
I'm
on
doing
YouTube.
it. If anybody
Please.
gets a message from me, it's not a bot.
Why
It's
are you
me.
Not about-
talking to me like I'm not next to you right now.
I'm just so mad about this. It's
Travis,
like
you
my
need to share
thumb.
this, Travis.
Yeah, just do it. Just like the show
All right,
says.
everybody, we're out.
Peace.